On occasion, some issues have to be discussed, and this is one of those issues that has to be talked about, because how the f does a team who's just won so many World Constructors, Drivers, Constructors Championships goes ahead and produces shitboxes like these that we've seen in the last couple years? Now, if you're a Sauber, Williams, or heck, even a Haas enjoyer, then you're used to all of these shit performances, because they happen day in and day out. Happens too often. And, you know, Williams fan, that kind of hurts. But Pokemon are meant to evolve into, you know, good beasts, good creatures. And Mercedes aren't evolving, but evolving in the opposite direction. Because sooner or later, they're going to be the next Alpine, trotting along in P20, P19, and happy days, they'll be happy for the car to even finish a bloody race. Let me know down in the comments if you guys think Mercedes will ever win another race ever again, or a championship, because, you know, with Hamilton gone and Russell being a terrorist in some situations, I don't see that happening for a short while. Anyway, watch there, subscribe and like. I don't know why you wouldn't, because ideas have to be on, crazy ideas. I say this all the time. Please enjoy the video. Yeah, enjoy the video. Everyone always says it's bad to dwell on the past because the past is in the past and you gotta focus on the future and the now. But in Mercedes' scenario situation, we kind of have to look at the past because a team that has won, what, 8 Constructors Championships, 7 drivers? I mean, just sheer talent from the aerodynamic team, the engineers, literally everyone. Hamilton as well, Rosberg, let's not forget that.
I would have won in 2016 if Lewis Hamilton wouldn't have punted me off on the last lap.
And, you know, let's put his name there. Schumacher, he's had talented times in Mercedes.
To take what would have been the final pole position of his career.
Going flat out around P1. Who the f expected that, or who thought that would have been possible?
No.
But it was in 2020, and you know, you gotta give them props where props is due.
I said, let him cook!
They were like the Cristiano Ronaldo of Formula 1. And ever since 2022, it's like they've broken a leg and still tried to play on. But you know, if you have a broken leg and you're playing football, that won't work. It won't.
It's Jover.
Honestly, they probably had the easiest championship runs ever in history.
That's too easy!
2014. Easiest championship of his life. 2015 as well. 2016. Now that was a championship battle. But it wasn't between another team. It was between the two Mercedes boys, Hamilton and Rosberg.
That's not fair!
Rosberg beat Hamilton in equal machinery. Now, don't forget that. Keep that in your brain. 2017 and 2018, Vettel tried to, you know, fraud a championship. But that was never to be because Vettel was kind of washed then, and 19 as well. 2020 was also pretty easy. Ferrari attended the racetrack literally every weekend with a race car slower than my tractor.
Terrible. Drives like a pig.
And then 2021 rocks around. Do these two ring a bell? Let's not lie, 2021 was also a very good season for Mercedes.
Sir Lewis Hamilton, as he is now, crosses the line and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. And Sir Lewis Hamilton's been night and day ahead of the rest here in Portimao this afternoon. And it's the checkered flag as the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix for Lewis Hamilton.
They won the Constructors' Championship and they won the drivers as... They lost the drivers. But it was close. Now, what did I expect after the 2021 season? Mercedes to bounce back like a panther and, you know, with some envy in their hearts, tried to single-handedly kill Verstappen, just like Verstappen single-handedly ended Hamilton's, Mercedes', Toto Wolff's, Valtteri Bottas's whole career in one singular race. And ever since then, they've been absolutely dogshit.
This car's so bad.
The drivers is also something that has to be discussed because Hamilton and Bottas, they were a good pairing. Worked well together. They've always had, you know, something in their hearts that, you know, they could get married if they wanted to, but they haven't. And speaking of marriage, Hamilton and Russell look more like an older divorced couple.
Oh no!
because every time they get into a little quarrel, a little situation where they make slight contact, sometimes major contact, seems like a team with two teammates that hate each other won't operate well.
That don't work.
But, you know, Verstappen is still smiling in the background because he desperately, genuinely hates Perez, but things are still working out. So, yeah.
Yes, very sad.
Anyway, Hamilton has hit an old age and hasn't won a race since 2021 Jeddah.
It's Hamilton and Mercedes on top.
Which was a long time ago, what, 3 years, and he hasn't won a race? Meant to be the best in the world, but clearly he isn't that anymore.
You're trash, kid.
George Russell has frauded himself a single win in Brazil.
Russell wins by 1.5 seconds from his teammate. Take a bow, George Russell.
But let's be real, we all know him for being a mass terrorist.
I would like to be a terrorist.
Behind the Aston, lost downforce, and then a little bit to the outside to cover up Carlos Sainz, trying to go wide.
Bolton tyres.
And they're still pushing the win. Russell's off.
George Russell into the wall.
You name it, he's done it all. Recently been the most nonchalant person on the whole grid. Ah man, it's the car, man. My guy's driving like he doesn't care, like his career doesn't depend on it, because he's not, because he's just signed a massive fat deal to Ferrari.
Everybody's a Ferrari fan. Even if they're not, they are a Ferrari fan.
Booted Carlos Sainz out of his seat.
After you're done with it.
He was like, nah, you're shit. And then Carlos Sainz responds with more race wins than Hamilton has gotten in the last 3 years. Hamilton has gotten so fed off of Mercedes being so desperately shit, he's changed teams. Now the only time he's done that was when McLaren was absolutely being dog shit back in, like, what, the early 10s? And then he decided to move teams, and guess what? He won a championship. So maybe now if he goes to Ferrari, he'll maybe win another championship. But him basically walking around with a walking stick, I don't know whether that's gonna happen or what's gonna come out of it, because, you know, he's looking kind of washed at the moment. And George Russell is his own topic of why he will never win a world championship, and that would probably take like a whole hour-long documentary to, you know, unfold everything about all of his flaws, and many flaws, because there's a lot. Now, I'm just playing, maybe in like the 40s he'll win a championship, but that's a long, long time away. Now, it's not just the drivers that are griefing the team, like Logan Sargent nearly griefed Williams P7 in 2023. It's also the car. The car is, you know, its biggest flaw.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
They rocked up to 2022 pre-season testing with a normal looking car with normal side pods, just like a car's meant to look. A normal race car, meant to be quick, meant to be good. But no, they decided to scratch the whole side pod design and go with the zero pod design. Zero side pods, no cooling, car's gonna overheat. Not sure who signed that off, but they must have been on crack or drugs or both of them, or even fentanyl, because that has been popular quite recently. Mercedes nearly break Hamilton's back in Baku. That was interesting. And the car just really doesn't get fixed throughout the whole of 2022. 2023 rocks around and the car goes all black, meant to make it faster with less paint, but still the car isn't better. And yet again, they frauded themselves a P2 in Abu Dhabi, but they were a long ways off Red Bull, and if Carlos Sainz was, you know, good, then they would have got him P3 yet again in 2023. 0 wins for either of them in 2023. Shit season. Let's not also forget that on occasions they were the 5th fastest car in the entire grid.
You're too slow.
A team that was the fastest car for like 7-8 years have managed to cook up a car that is like midfield. Red Bull was in front of them, Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine on occasions, maybe, and Ferrari, of course, Ferrari. How the f did I forget Ferrari? Sometimes 5th, 6th, maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but they were never first. And when desperate times call for desperate measures, Singapore, Verstappen was having a pretty off race, and they could have won the race. They actually could have done it. But George Russell does what George Russell does best.
Brother, this guy stinks!
And now 2024, they've cooked up. Or they haven't cooked up. They actually burnt it. Not even burnt it. The cow was still raw, still mooing in the field. James Allison was meant to come into the team and create an absolute monster of Mercedes, and I honestly thought they were gonna be the best because James Allison was back. He's back, but no, it's shit. The 4th fastest car, maybe even the 5th on like a very bad day, but let's just say the 4th. McLaren is faster, Ferrari is faster, and obviously the Red Bulls are faster. They're nowhere near the top runners, and they're honestly closer to the Alpines than they are to the Red Bulls, which is saying a lot. struggling to get into Q3, and an 18-year-old in Ollie Behrman nearly just beat Hamilton into Q3, which was...
Serious?
In Jeddah, around some corners, they were literally the slowest car on entry, on apex, on exit, on everything. Slower than an Alpine, slower than a Haas, slower than a Williams, slower than an Alfa Romeo or Stake or whatever. And they're teams that are used to finish last, second to last, third to last, 19th, 20th, 21st on some occasions maybe. And let's be real, Toto Wolff has been quiet ever since he told Christian Horner to change car.
You change your car
Because, let's be real, Mercedes drastically need to change their car. But do I have any hope for Mercedes? Is there any hope for them getting back to their glory days? Getting back to winning championships by, what, 10 races left? Winning races by minutes, by 30 seconds every race? Well, probably not, because Hamilton's gone. But with that empty seat, maybe Alonso would like to go there, because Aston Martin have kind of tumbled down the hill. Similar to Mercedes, but Mercedes is Mercedes and Aston Martin is Aston Martin. But does Alonso or Sainz or Ricciardo want to go to a team that is struggling to even get in the top 10? Ricciardo maybe, because he's in a team that can't even score a point. Or maybe that's just him. Maybe it's just a skill issue.
Skill issue.
Anyway, let me know down in the comments, is Mercedes ever going to get back to its former glory? And subscribe and like whilst you're down there. I don't know why you wouldn't. Please do. I hope you enjoyed the video. Anyway, peace.